And hopefully this is going to go according to plan. All right. Let's see. I'm going to actually, let's see if anybody jumps on. I know it's lunchtime for most people that are Eastern Standard Time. Let's see if I'm actually live. I'm going to try to watch myself here. Hopefully we don't have any sort of feedback issues. But this way I can actually answer any of you guys' questions live. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Let me know if we're having any audio issues. I do have a little bit of a delay here watching it. I'm watching myself, which is a little weird, but I don't have StreamYard anymore. I just have YouTube Live. But hi, Glossy Chris. We're going to see, maybe if we can go into the live chat. Can I open that? Maybe not. Give me that option, open panel. It won't let me do it. Oh, I see it on this. I am technically impaired, so I see it over here. If you guys have questions, I'm going to try to answer them. All right, but we're going to get right into it. I know some of you only have a limited window of time. I get asked a lot of questions on my channel about interior detailing, and this isn't going to be an exhaustive video. If we have to do a few of these, we can. But I just want to go down like a quick rundown of my process, some of the favorite chemicals that I use, and maybe answer any questions that you guys might have. If I don't answer any of the questions during this live, I know a lot of you guys are in the live chat, and I mean, we've got, I don't even know how many, 25 watching now. Thanks guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. Jim Walker, Good Wash Details, Scotty Day Hoff, Angela Steele, Keith Guts, Wes Cat. I'm going to try to answer as many as I can once I'm done kind of giving you guys a brief rundown. But if I don't answer them in this video, go outside of the live chat, put your questions in the comments section, and I will try to answer them as I can. And even if we have to do like another dedicated video to answer your questions. My channel is all about education. I want it to be about entertainment, but for those of you that are not acquainted with my channel, I have a home-based detailing business. I've been detailing cars for almost 10 years, 9 years at least. My background as far as interior detailing, I was the housekeeping supervisor at Lancaster Bible College where I graduated from. And I had to learn a lot about chemicals, a lot about extractors, polishing floors, things like that. And so I was able to take all that basic knowledge and transfer it into interior detailing. Now, I've had a lot of trial and error. Trust me, I've worked with so many different products over the years. And you can actually see over here, I have pulled out some of my favorites when it comes to interiors. Behind me, I have some of my favorite carpet cleaning stuff. So we're going to try to go over all of it. Now, anything that I discuss doesn't mean that it's the only thing. It just means that those are things that I've worked a lot with, become very comfortable with. So really quick, as far as a rundown, when it comes to interior detailing, first and foremost, vacuuming. Vacuuming is the most important critical step with anything because the majority of the dirt that we're dealing with on the interior is dry soiling. So I know when I first started, I was using a variable speed blower. Now I feel like I am hip and cool. I am using a Tornador, mini Tornador gun with the California ultra quiet 10-gallon air compressor. Absolutely love it. I don't use the term game changer frequently. That was a game changer for me. To be able to get all of the loose soiling out of the interior as much as possible before we introduce moisture is critical. So you need to make sure you have a really good vacuum, minimum 5 horsepower. I'm using the DeWalt Stelsonic. I have used the Rigid, one of the smaller orange ones. I actually switched to the DeWalt Stelsonic because I'm 41 and starting to have hearing problems. So any way that I can just minimize damage to my hearing, my husband is like constantly like, what? That's all I ever say to him. Some of that's ADHD, but some of that is you can cause damage to your ears with polishers, with vacuums, things like that. I am wearing AirPods when I vacuum now just to try to kind of reduce the noise canceling. But having a really, really good vacuum is critical. Number 2, really good brushes. And I mean, guys, we're not talking about like anything fancy. Yes, you can have the Tornador, you can have the blowout tools. One of the best tools that I have ever found for interior detailing, for removing dry soiling, for vacuuming is literally this tool right here. It's $3 on Amazon. I don't have the link for it down below, and literally you can buy any, this is non-specific. I think I got this at Detailed Image years ago, but this is a grout brush or a pad cleaning brush, super stiff, okay? The issue with dry soiling is that we're not getting deeper in the fabric to pull the dirt out. So you can have something soft like this, but a stiff brush. Honestly, there are times that this does a better job at getting dirt out of the carpets than the Tornador or the compressor. So $3 tool. Yeah, I know it's small. You can use a bigger one like this, okay? This is super stiff, really great, but it's a little bulky and kind of cumbersome, and especially along seats. When we have stains, things like that, this gets into those tight spaces. Another thing about tight spaces, you want to make sure that you have a long crevice attachment. This one's flexible. It's nice, also a little bit of rubber. So that way when we're going down seats, we're not rubbing up against any of the plastic, scratching it. Also, this is another grout cleaning brush. I use this to get along seats. Does a great job at deep cleaning the carpets. So before we introduce any moisture, before we talk extraction, dry soiling is the most important thing to remove. 75% of the time, I don't even need to extract if we do a really good vacuum job. And I know you guys think that all I ever do is extract. I don't really extract every vehicle. When we have heavy soiling, when we have odor issues, when we have spills, I will extract. We have light soiling. Sometimes vacuuming is all you really need to do. Beyond that, you can bonnet clean. And we'll get into kind of all of those things in just a second. Let me just real quick, we're going to go through some of the questions real quick, see if there's any that I can answer for you guys as we're kind of touching on this topic. What are your favorite interior cleaners and favorite interior detailers? We'll get to that in just a second. What product do you like that doesn't require an extractor? So Westcat, I can say when it comes to kind of spot cleaning, when it comes to bonnet cleaning, there's a few. Okay, so these two right here actually work really well for spot cleaning when you are in a situation where you want minimized moisture. You don't want to have to deal with kind of a clean stain, because what happens is when we have a lot of dirt on the surface, if we try to go at it with a liquid and we hit it, what it's going to do is it's going to take the dirt and it's going to spread it out, and then you have a clean stain, so to speak. So when we just have a little bit of a spot, you want to try to minimize moisture. I like to use products like these that are more foam related. So this is Stoner Carpet and Upholstery Cleaner. Actually does a pretty decent job. One of my favorite smelling ones is this. This is Turtle Wax. Their Spot Clean. Works really well. You can also use a product like Polestar, and you can actually put it in one of those dry foam sprayers. Works really well for kind of spot cleaning. Not a big fan of the scent of this. If you're looking for kind of a reduced odor, this is a good option. But if you like really like just fruity, clean smelling ones, this is actually a really good retail version for spot cleaning. So when it comes to limited moisture, and then you can also do bonnet cleaning. Bonnet cleaning is basically, where did that go? Where you take a pad like this, and you could put this on a polisher. I normally use like a small pro or 15 millimeter, no more. Low speed. We're talking 2 to 3, enough that it rotates, but not so much that we're creating a lot of heat. Spray your solution onto here, spray your solution onto the fabric. I more so use this technique for headliners because obviously headliners, glue, padding, we don't want to soak that. We don't want to saturate that. Bonnet cleaning is the best way to do that. And these are the UFO pads from Auto Fiber. I do wish they came slightly smaller, Ian. I believe this is like a 6-inch pad on a 5-inch backing plate, which is normally what I use. I do have kind of a little bit of a lip. Not a big issue though. It doesn't like fling it off. Some of his older prototypes, that was an issue. This one, you can see how thick it is, but it has really nice Velcro backing. Get on there, and it does a fantastic job at cleaning. Now, bonnet cleaning basically is you want to use products that are designed to use for bonnet cleaning. Not every product is going to work the same. I'm typically using products like this that are actually an end cap solution. End cap basically is where we're going to, almost in a way, like we are thinking with rinseless washes, where we kind of encapsulate the dirt. End caps do the same thing essentially. They kind of crystallize along the dirt. And yes, you can transfer the dirt from the dirty surface to your pad. This is actually a really great technique to use in buildings, things like that. The issue though is that when you're doing end cap cleaning, the way that you get any sort of residual dirt or residual cleaner out is through vacuuming, because it crystallizes the dirt, and then as you're vacuuming, you're going to pull that dirt out. So if you're not going to be vacuuming seats or vacuuming carpets, sometimes bonnet cleaning can leave a little bit too much residue down, because let's face it, our customers are coming to us to clean their vehicle. They're not necessarily looking to do it themselves, and so that might leave a little bit of residue behind that could accelerate resoiling. Now, professional grade products like this, it's going to be minimal. It's not like we're going to be super crunchy. They actually can leave the carpet somewhat fluffy. But if you're using just a standard APC and thinking you're going to bonnet clean, you're more than likely going to leave behind a lot of residue, and the carpets are going to feel really crunchy. And if they get in with wet shoes, basically it's going to hold all that dirt and accelerate resoiling. So that's why I say bonnet cleaning is great for interiors if you're using the right cleaners. Some people are using the wrong cleaners, and then their customers are calling them back in 3-4 months and like, my vehicle looks like crap. Well, that's because you're using the wrong solution. So anyways, when it comes to, I'm all over the place. Stick with me, guys. My ADHD, squirrel tendencies, they're going to be here. But hopefully through this entire video, you're going to get all the information that you need. So Wes, hopefully that answers your question when it comes to that. Do you have a heated garage, or how do you heat it in the winter? Sam, I am actually in a heated garage right now. You can see my cheeks are red. Some of that is because I get super nervous when I do lives, because I feel like 46 people are watching me right now. And I am constantly talking over myself or inventing new words. So, but yes, it is actually, it's like 62, 63 degrees in here. I've had the heat running for a few hours. We normally keep it around like 556. Don't break 60 too much. As long as my chemicals don't freeze, we're fine. But it has been literally Arctic temperatures the last couple of, feels like months, it feels like an eternity, at least since December. I don't think we've broken above 32. It's actually, tomorrow we're supposed to be like negative 15, I think, with the wind chill. So I'm thankful I have a garage. I am able to stay warm in the winter. I basically turn rinseless. I am on my containment mat right now. It has been a lifesaver, but business has been slow. I know a lot of people are struggling this winter with just staying busy. Interiors are a great way to continue to bring in revenue when people don't really care about a clean car on the outside, because it's going to get dirty in a few minutes. But I have a mini split. It is Bryant brand. You guys are always asking what brand of mini split. My husband put it in a few years ago. It is a lifesaver. I also have AC in the summer. So for ceramic coatings, I can control humidity. I can just work comfortably. And you actually don't want extreme highs and lows for your products. So they just work better, but at least keep them above 55 if you can. Let's see, where is a good place to start with mild carpet fabric cleaning? Basic tools and chemicals that get good results. Okay, Chris M. This is where it can be very confusing, because there are a ton of really good options on the market. And some of the ones that I see consistently from people, I tried to grab them here, but this is actually a really popular combination. And give me a sec, I'm going to move these brushes. But these three are actually a really popular combo that I see online from P&S. It's their carpet balmer, their finisher peroxide treatment, and their terminator. I've worked with them a little bit. I wouldn't say extensively. I'm not a huge fan of having to use 3 products to get results that I could use 1 product at a diluted ratio that is far more economical versus this. I would say for beginner, maybe a DIYer that is looking to just do their personal vehicle, they will get the job done. I've gotten decent results. My issue is that they don't necessarily say you have to extract. Oftentimes they're kind of presenting it that you can spray it on, brush with a brush, mop it up with a microfiber, do all these 3 steps, finish with I believe the finisher, and that helps prevent resoiling. Personally, even though I've talked to Sydney, even though I get the concept behind it, to me this feels like a lot of residue that is being left down. And I think that there are way more effective products out there that are way more affordable. So I get a lot of people asking me if I've worked with these. They can get mild to moderate stains out. I would say these are best suited for spot cleaning. I wouldn't necessarily use this for a lot of soiling on seats. I would say carpets, mats, where we have some spills, these can work really great. I'm not necessarily saying they're bad, but I normally am seeing pretty bad condition interiors that I go through a ton of chemical, and this was actually 2 vehicles that I used these on, and you can see I used, let's see where that, I used a good bit of it. So this was like 2 or 3 vehicles. So for me, that's just not the most economical, but you'll get decent results. As far as affordable, as far as works really well, I would say that puts us in these products right here. This is Superior Products Zap It, and this is their heavy duty enzyme cleaner. Now, I know there's a huge following behind Zap It, and I really do enjoy it. Both of them are kind of citrus delimonene based. You can actually see they separate. You got to mix them up to get them to kind of look the way they should. All right. So we got this like cloudy green, cloudy yellow. They have a similar scent, very similar kind of DNA, but this has an enzyme solution. I find that this is actually way superior to Zap It. I would say if you're going to buy one or the other, get this one because it cleans way better. And we also have the enzyme solution within it, which is going to go after odors, which majority of the vehicles, we want to like neutralize the odor of some sort. When we've got a lot of stains, normally the soiling is what's holding on to odors. So you can remove, I would say moderate to almost heavy. But if we're dealing with tan interiors, gray interiors, light colored interiors, this might still struggle. But I've had really great results with this mild to moderate. I would say this is good at maintenance cleanings. I would say that this can handle anywhere from spot cleaning to mild cleaning, but it's going to struggle with heavy soiling. You're going to go through a lot, really soaking the carpets and spending a lot more time extracting. This will give you faster results. But personally, I only use these in situations where maybe dark colored interior, not too bad with soiling, a little bit of an odor, but this would be the one that I would recommend. I will say that these products, the advantages behind them is that they rinse quickly. There's very little residue within them. You'll see kind of a cloudy appearance out of your solution when you rinse it, but probably 1 or 2 passes, you're going to get all of that residue out. Whereas products like this from Bonnet Pro or even their Omega Citrus or their Omegazyme, these are hydrogen peroxide citrus-based solutions that they are going to foam a little bit, but you don't want too much foam. You actually want a little bit of foam because with the foam comes lifting. When we lift dirt to the surface, it's easier to extract it. When I have moderate to heavy soiling, these are the products that I would use. And we could add into that the Omegazyme. I'm out of it. We're going to be ordering some soon. But these are both like heavy hitters. I dilute them typically 1 to 5. And I've had this 1 gallon for like a year. I've had this 1 gallon, and you can hear how much my microphone's over here. You can hear I'm like down to here. I use this majority of the vehicles that I see, and this has been 1 gallon. I might spend $40 to $50 on a gallon and get a huge return for interiors. And I can typically get all the soils with this one product. Rarely am I having to follow up with something secondary. If I do, it's this, because I think this cleans a little bit better in certain scenarios. When it comes to carpet cleaning, we're just going to dial it back just a second, because before we just start grabbing cleaners and experimenting, we kind of need to understand the nature of the stain to know how to treat it. So typically when we are dealing with stains on the interior, we either have organic or inorganic. When we're dealing with organic stains, you want to treat it with an alkaline. So that is your maybe French fry oil, that is your ketchup, your just your food, your greasy body oils, sweat, things like that, organic. They're going to respond really well to alkaline cleaners. When we're dealing with inorganic, thinking not alive, those respond really well to acidic cleaners. So those are your salt stains, your water stains, your tannins, urine, things like that. They're going to respond really well. So sometimes you can hit the stain with an alkaline. Maybe you have French fries or foods or things like that. That's all you need. But sometimes when you're dealing with heavy dirt and maybe also urine or maybe salt stains, you might want to do a two-step system where we pre-treat with an alkaline and then incorporate an acid as our rinse to, one, hit both of those stains and also in a way neutralize the carpet. Now, water in and of itself can help neutralize it. But really the biggest issue is treating the stain with the appropriate cleaner. So do a little research, check out the SDS sheets, see where the pH is on these chemicals. Some of them are super high and they can go after really great organic stains. But if you actually hit a stain sometimes with too high of an alkaline, you can set it. You have to understand the nature of that. So even if I were to try to, I'm trying to think, if I were to try to remove tea or coffee with a degreaser, it's not going to budge it. And you also might have some major wicking issues because you've actually liquefied or kind of activated all of the tannin, spread it out, and you're going to struggle. So understanding how to treat different stains with different pHs, and then knowing when to neutralize, and then really the biggest goal, try to get as much of the residue out as possible. I'm not going to say it has to be 100%, but get as much of the residue out as possible and rinse until you have clear water. Now, in certain situations, when you've got ridiculous amounts of soiling, you could be there all day. And when I have black interiors, no, you can kind of stop a lot sooner than gray, tan, khaki, things like that. Gray and khaki, you're going to be there for a while. You're committed. You're in there for the long haul. You want to rinse until you have clear water. That's going to help avoid resoiling. But that's where we go back to making sure with light colored interiors, we are getting out as much dry soiling as possible through stiff agitation before we introduce moisture. So that way we reduce how much wicking we get, if that makes sense. And I've done so many videos demonstrating this technique, but hopefully that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna go back, try to answer some more. You guys have been commenting like crazy. We've got 57 people watching online. All right, I like my tough stuff, a great foam cleaner. Where's a good place? I answered that one already. That's a lot of typhon. Yes, we'll get to that in just a second. Occasional detailer. Those Walmart microfibers in the back are goated. I use them for stuff in the house. Yes, I actually just bought a new roll of rags. They are super great for interiors or disposable towels, but definitely very affordable, very efficient. They've come a long way, Walmart microfibers. There are smaller bottles of Typhon. This is the smaller bottle. And you can actually see this was an old bottle that I had a BioBomb Mini in it. The solution is actually good for about like 2 weeks with the BioBomb Mini in it. But this has actually become my favorite interior cleaner. Buy it by the gallon. Do yourself a favor. Like I think 1 to 10, 1 to 5 is how I mix it up. But drop one of these little guys in there, BioBomb Mini, and you've got a great cleaner that's safe on the surface and it helps neutralize odors and it just smells so clean on the inside. Any of the products that I'm showing you guys, yes, I will say I'm an affiliate with many vendors, but this isn't me getting paid or sponsored. These are true, like, love these products. I've got many different brands here. We're going to try to go over all. Man, my face is really red. Holy cow. The British in me is coming out. Okay. Interior glass is my nemesis, especially. I lost that question. It just took me all the way to the end. Let's see. Yes, sir. Any tips on that to avoid chasing streaks will be great. We'll get to glass cleaning in just a little bit. Ironically, I use Nemesis for cleaning windows in a good glass towel. AirPods don't provide protection. Might want to get some muffs. Yes, but they can actually do a good bit of noise cancellation. And you see this right here with perimenopause and hot flashes. When I have earmuffs on, lights out, I want to die. I get super hot. So AirPods are much more comfortable for me to not die from hot flashes. Men, you'll never understand, but seriously, be sympathetic. It's awful. What do you like for fabric cleaning? BioBreak still the king, from Spencer. And I think I touched on that a little bit. I know that Carlos and I will never say he's a rival. He is a really great friend of mine. Honestly, I think he is one of the best at interior detailing. I learn a lot from him. I've learned a lot from Nick McGurk. The best way that I have learned carpet cleaning, to be honest, is watching professional carpet cleaning YouTube channels. I'm a nerd. I watch their techniques. I even watch professional area rugs being cleaned to notice the techniques, because area rugs and mats are very, very similar as far as pile. And a lot of it is hitting it with a chemical, extreme agitation, rinse, chemical, agitate, rinse. I know we don't necessarily want to do that with seats, things like that, but you can actually learn a lot about technique when it comes to that. But I know Carlos is a huge fan of these products here, Flex Ice. And I've actually had these same cartons for, I think, 2 years. I mean, you're going to get really great value with these. The price has gone up. They were like $45 when I bought them. I just looked today. I think they're close to $70 on Amazon. I'm not sure if you go to Bridgepoint's website if they're cheaper. It's a powder product, so it is not going to be affected by extreme colds, especially mobile detailers, and you can mix it up as you need it. Typically for products, I will use a pump sprayer to pre-treat with one of these two products, and then I put a scoop of this in my Aqua Pro Vac for my rinse water. So I'm going through a good bit of this consistently, because there are some vehicles I'm going through, 2 or 3 refills, and I have the Aqua Pro Vac has about, I think, a 3-gallon capacity. So 1 scoop of this, so you can see here, yeah, I'm about half with that bottle. All right, so you're going to get a good bit of value with that. As far as which of these two is my favorite, I would probably say that this one would be preferred because it has the enzyme within it, but this one cleans a little bit better when we got heavy soiling. So it really depends on the situation. The reason I would use these products versus Bonnet Pro in certain situations is because if I'm going through a ton of solution, like we're talking major soiling from head to toe, I've got to extract everything, and I know I'm going to go through quite a bit, I will use these products because I can put 1 scoop in a pump sprayer, 1 scoop in my rinse water, and just mix it up quickly, versus me having to do, kind of a trigger sprayer like I would with my Bonnet Pro and go to town. So sometimes it has to do simply with the application, quick, get it onto the seats, and just even distribution. But as far as why I would use these versus these, I honestly think Bonnet Pro cleans better than these. So when I've got, I would say, the most serious stains, or I'm not even wanting to mess around, I just want to get in and get out, I will use Bonnet Pro. These products, I would say sometimes I will need to treat with something like this afterwards, but for moderate to borderline heavy stains, these will be fantastic. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of the scent. Yes, it does have a little bit of a citrus scent, but not really anything that just, what's the term I'm thinking? We don't have like a residual scent, ever so slight citrus, but kind of it's not my favorite. Whereas with Rocket Revive It or even the Omega Citrus, they actually have kind of Pro Fresh technology within it. Also, they have AFT technology within it, which is going to help reduce resoiling. So I would say I'm way more familiar with Bonnet Pro because I've worked with them longer. These products, Carlos would probably be the king to be able to speak as far as capabilities, limitations, and I know he's gotten really great results with these. I would be curious for us doing like a side-by-side, him using Bridgepoint, me using Bonnet Pro, but it's really hard to ever have like an exact scenario with level of soiling, but you're not going to go wrong with these. Just know that there have been certain times that I've used them that I don't maybe have enough foam to lift the dirt out, where I would get that with Bonnet Pro, and also the scent, but that's just a personal preference. These are great, great products. Something also to consider when we're talking about professional grade carpet cleaning products is Bonnet Pro is coming out with new products, and one of my favorite from them is actually Red Lava. This actually it's a high pH oxy and citrus powered extraction pre-spray with AFT for commercial carpet and tile. Uses a booster for red hot cleaning. So you use this with hot water solution only. They do have a blue lava that you can use with cold water. But this actually, I think, cleans better than Rocket Revive It. So if we're wanting to compete, if you want a powder and you want to compete with Bridgepoint, try this stuff out. You're gonna, I think, be very, very impressed. Eddie Cologne, I don't know if he's watching this. He's been deep diving into interiors. He's been calling me a few times when he has interior issues. And one of the vehicles that he did recently, he bought like $400 of product from Bonnet Pro because I recommended them. And he's like, okay, I got this chemical. He's like, what should I try? And I was like, okay, not being there, kind of hard to see. I said, first hit it with red lava, drill brush, extract with the Aqua Pro Vac, hot water, see where that lands. If you got to go anything further, then use Rocket, revive it. If you got to go anything further from that, then you can use something like their Revive It Oxy Spotter, which is a fantastic spotter when you got like major stains. And I called him back later and I was like, hey, how did it turn out? And he's like, red lava is all I needed. One product, one and done. So try it out if you guys haven't. Basically, very limited dilutions with this. I'm using like 1 scoop in a pump sprayer, but we're going to be doing more testing with this product. What I've seen so far, very impressive. I'm actually hoping to, in the next couple of months, go to John from Bonnet Pro, he's the owner, to his location and do more videos demonstrating for you guys the Bonnet Pro products, specific uses, how to use them, best results, what to avoid. If you guys are interested in that, make sure you subscribe. But we will be testing out more of these products, but I think this is going to be a big time contender for Bridgepoint products, for those of you that want a powdered solution. Okay, let's see, any more questions? I see what you did there, Guardian. Let's look into that. I've heard Magic Eraser is good for cleaning windshields. All right. What do you think of Chemical Guy's interior products? I've not worked with too many. Hang with me. I'll be right back. I have worked a little bit with this product right here. I know a lot of people talk about this, especially beginners. I would say it's not bad for spot cleaning. I would kind of put it on par with Folex. And Folex is a decent cleaner. I used it when I first started detailing. There's actually some scenarios where Folex is a fantastic product. Very little residue, very little foam, but it can clean really well. I would guess, if I had to guess the kind of pH makeup of Folex, that it's more of an acidic cleaner, because it can actually do a pretty good job going after tannin stains, things like that. But don't quote me on that. I'm sure some of you guys will look that up right now and put it. So for any of you that are little investigators, if you know that, put that in the comment section. But lightning fast isn't bad for spot cleaning, mild cleaning. But I would say if you're doing like major dirt, you're gonna go through a lot more product. There are better products out there. But if you're in a pinch, you need something from Walmart or Pep Boys or something like that, it can get a decent job done for mild soiling. I would just say make sure that you are agitating properly and that you are using a really good extractor. Sometimes the effectiveness of a solution is as much the chemical as it is the person who's using the products and the tools, knowing how to use them properly. Remove dry soiling and then vacuuming. You want to make sure that you're using drill brushes, stiff brushes, but also when it comes to the extractor. If you're working with kind of a residential shampooer, when I first started detailing, I actually was using like a Bissell spot hoover. I even purchased the Rug Doctor Junior. I've like stepped it up little by little over the years. And I mean, when you have residential cleaners and things like that, you're gonna have short hoses, you're gonna have limitations, your head is gonna kind of have the brushes or the shoe head up here, the water's gonna spray down here. So you're gonna constantly be doing one of these things where you're spraying water, then extracting. Bulky heads aren't gonna get into tight spaces really well. So that's when I stepped it up to the Aqua Pro Vac. Now, I know I use that a lot here on this channel. This is heavy, I'm just showing it. I'm not gonna keep it on my lap, okay? But I have worked with several different extractors. I'm not sponsored by Aqua Pro Vac. I do have an affiliate link, but I'm not sponsored by Aqua Pro Vac. You'll notice with this sprayer here, we have this little lip right here. Water goes basically all the way up to the front. And we also have some guides here that keep the water from spraying all over the place. Yes, there have been some issues I've seen of people where they might have some leaks from water. There is a specific way that you want to put this on. If you're having any issues with leaking, it's probably because you didn't connect this properly. They do have really great customer service to walk you through that. The only repairs I've ever had to do to my Aqua Pro Vac was replace the water line because I was taking the plastic head off improperly. I will bring this back up. So we're going over everything. The Aqua Pro Vac here. When we take this off, okay, the tendency is to want to lift it like this. Woo, with the hose connected. And you'll see my water line is right here. And what that does is it pulls on that water line and eventually it's going to pop out. Now you can put it back on very easy. But the solution to avoid that, when we are going to be taking our plastic head off to dump our water, fill it, take this off, then we don't have that pull on our water line. Every now and then, just make sure that this water line is not getting kinked around the hose. But when you go to put this back on, slide that back on. That's the only issue I ever had with this. Once I started taking this out before I took this off, it eliminated that issue. I haven't had it since then. Other than that, the leaking water from the thing was because I didn't put this shoe head on properly. Once I did that, that was fixed. But this has really fantastic suction. I can actually get into tight spaces along seats really well. And this, it's about a $525 extractor. You can put cold water and hot water in it. When I have mild soiling, light soiling, cold water is sufficient. When we've got odors, when we've got heavy grease, when we've got heavy soiling, hot water extraction, we're not talking boiling hot, tap water hot. That's all I've ever needed. Do you have to use an extractor after red lava? I would say yes. It's designed to be used with an extractor. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is just NCAP. It's a pre-spray, standalone carpet pre-spray tile cleaner and booster. And yes, I would. A lot of their instructions are on here. I've only used it with extraction. I've not used it for NCAP. I think their packaging is pretty self-explanatory that it will tell you if it's an NCAP solution or if it's just a pre-spray. But as far as extracting, that's what I use. Absolutely love it. That's where some of the results that we get are going to matter when we have proper agitation, proper vacuuming, and proper extraction. When we're using residential tools, we're going to get kind of limited results. All right. What can be used to get adhesive off of window tint? You have to be careful with window tint because sometimes there's adhesive within them. But if you've got stickers and things and it's, let's say, factory tint, you can use a product like this. This is called Rapid Remover. I've used this on minivans. I did a video. The customer's kid had about 40 stickers all over the glass. You can use foaming, like invisible glass, sometimes as a lubricant, but this actually does a great job at breaking down anything sticky. If you have gum on the interior, this works really great. Obviously ice, to kind of freeze the gum. Use a carpet bone pick to pry up as much of the gum as possible. Don't introduce steam until you've gotten as much of the dry gum off. And then you can use steam if you need to kind of break it down, melt it. And then you can use something like this to get rid of any of the sticky residue. This works really great on decals on the exterior as well. But this is definitely something that I always have in my arsenal. I don't need it all the time. It can be expensive, but I've had this one bottle for years. And it definitely is one of those things you want to have on hand for certain scenarios like this. Speaking of specialty products as well, I know, again, I'm all over the place, guys. Stick with me. Sometimes on the interior, we're going to deal with rust. This is a great product. You can pick this up, I think, Amazon, super cheap. But when you have anything metal sitting on carpet that gets wet, you're going to have rust develop pretty quickly. Put this, you can spray it directly on the carpet. I've not had any bleaching issues. Or you can put it on a microfiber, agitate it. It literally disappears like a magic trick before your eyes. Absolutely love it. I've never tried it on, well, I lie. I have tried this on the exterior when we've got rust on chrome, and this works really well as well, but sometimes metal polish. But I specifically use this for interiors. Salt stains. Vinegar is a great quick fix, but also this product from Sprayway, Salt Off, these scrubbers. suck, but they actually do work sometimes at agitating, getting the solution, kind of breaking up the salt. But this works really well. And you can also use steam as far as to break down some of the salt, because salt gets dissolved by water. We don't need to overcomplicate it, but this works really well sometimes with removing the salt stains. When we are dealing with red dye, Kool-Aid, things like that, the label has worn off, but this is red one. With this product, you basically want to have a white terry towel, spray the solution onto your white terry towel, put it onto the stain, and then you want to put steam of some sort, either a curling iron, an iron, or a steamer, and you're going to actually transfer the stain from the carpet to the white terry towel. Do not use any other color towel, but this can actually work pretty well. If you've got stubborn red stains, you don't necessarily need to go heavy, but if you spray this on, agitate, and extract, it's not going to work. It is heat activated, so you do need to use steam of some sort to transfer the red from the carpet or the fiber to your terry towel. So definitely one that I always have on hand. Let's see, let's go back to the questions. Christian from Italy, ciao. That's awesome. Man, I didn't realize we'd have people from all over Europe. YouTube is a scroll for me. Best way to get adhesive. I think I answered that. All right, let's see if we have any more questions. What's your process on cleaning heavily soiled seatbelts from Good Wash Detail? That's a great question. I've seen some people actually take the seatbelts outside of the vehicle, close the door, and pressure wash it. I've seen some decent results with that. My issue is that we've got a ton of moisture, and we're basically recoiling that seatbelt back into an enclosed space, and that could lead to mold or mildew. I do extract seatbelts, but I also try to pull out as much moisture as possible. And when I do extract seatbelts, I then actually extend them. Sometimes you can wrap them around the headrest to keep them from going back inside, but extend them and get them dry. So that way you're not putting a wet seatbelt into the compartment or wherever they're stored. You can use, I'm here guys, I'm just off screen. You can use a brush like this. This is, I believe, called a gator brush. Chomp, chomp, chomp. But basically spray your solution, because again, chemical agitation and extraction are the most important steps. And seatbelts are a really, really thick material. So you want to scrub them. This allows you to kind of go back and forth really well. It's a good stiff brush. I picked this up years ago from McKee's 37. And then you can extract. And I'll pull it out and I will extract both sides. Sometimes you do have to put it up against the seat, and you can end up getting some transfer wicking from that. So I never do the seat and then the seat belt, always do the seat belt, then the seat, because I sometimes will use the seat as a surface. But that's just a great way. And then of course, after you extract, you just want to make sure you pull them out. But if you want to pressure wash them, try that out. My concern would be, 1, excess moisture, 2, potentially damaging the material. I know that they're really tough, but God forbid they're in an accident and something happened with the seatbelt and that come back on you. So for me, a little bit of liability, a little bit of just proceed with caution. I'd much rather just scrub it, extract it, let it be that. Obviously, when you're done extracting, microfiber, both sides, just go over it, try to get up as much of that moisture as possible, leave it out, get it dry, and then hopefully you'll notice at least a huge improvement, if not really great. Seatbelts hold a lot of odor. So when you're doing smoke odor removal, anything like that, seatbelts are definitely one of those areas that you want to clean. All right. Carlos and Serrano should collaborate on a disaster and TO detail. That would be fun, but that'd be a little tricky from Texas to Pennsylvania. Favorite interior cleaner from James Auto Detailing. So you'll notice over here, I'm gonna bring you guys, I'm gonna just turn you a little bit. It's kind of hard to zoom, okay? Interior cleaners. There's many really great ones on the market. This isn't gonna be me saying, go out and buy the only one, because you're gonna get really similar results with many products. Personally, my favorite recently has been Typhon. Smells great. Not overly caustic. I've noticed no white chalky residue or staining on plastics. It's really important to me. And typically, I don't dress interiors. I know that might be like a big old E to some of you guys. I don't like the way that dressings look. They hold on to dirt. I have like a beautiful natural finish, and then I put something on it that makes it all smeary. And sometimes if you miss a spot, it stands out like a sore thumb. And I know there are some interior cleaners that are natural, and you can use something like this Cruise Interior Detailer, or even like P&S Express Interior Detailer. And I know that there are some out there, like quick interior detailers, that they might have a UV protectant within it that you don't need a dressing, because really the only thing we're using a dressing for is either to cover up dirt and to give us UV protection. If we have new plastics, we shouldn't need to dress them. We should just need to protect them. And a quick detailer, even a spray wax that you use on the outside, will give you that UV protection. And I'm thinking like really any interior detailers that I've used. Majority of the new ones now will have some sort of UV protection within them, but rarely am I seeing a vehicle that I can just wipe it down with an interior detail and be done. Normally it's like really bad dirt. And so that's where I enjoy P&S Express Interior. Leaves behind, I would say, a satin finish, so it looks dressed, but it's not. But this cleans really well. The scent, I think, could be a little bit nicer, but it's not nasty. It does make me cough just ever so slightly, but it cleans really well. When it says Express Interior, you're thinking like it's not gonna. It actually cleans really well. As far as scent, this is one of my favorites, but this isn't going to do a ton of cleaning. But this actually has a really nice kind of cologne smell. So if you're doing a quick wipe down, or even you want to clean with one of these and then wipe down with this, you could use it. But as far as scent, this is one of my favorites. If we got a lot of germs, a lot of bacteria, this isn't going to do much. Like, cleaning does reduce bacteria levels. It's not going to like necessarily disinfect, but in a way, we're still disinfecting because we're removing dirt and soiling. But if you want something a little bit more peace of mind, like a bactericidal cleaner, you can use something like this from Bonnet, Sintra. They have a ready to use. They have a concentrate. This works really well. You can use this on plastics, leather, carpet. You can use this on plastics, leather, carpet, same as here. So I like products that I can use on a multitude of surfaces. If you need something that cleans gently, decently, but no odor, for those customers that are sensitive to scents, Griot's Interior Cleaner. It's not going to give you a ton of foam, but cleans really well. I will use that on sensitive finishes, maybe where we've got some dye that is starting to fail on plastics or leather. No issues. These products here, not typically going to be stripping dyes off of leather seats, things like that. When we start getting into our super high octane alkaline cleaners, and we've got leather, that's where you just got to proceed with caution. Typically, I'll show you in just a second some of my interior cleaners. As far as most cost effective, this is Pink Perfection from Superior Products. This is a soap-based APC. Cleans really well, leaves behind. I would say it's like on par with this product. This might clean a touch more, but this is diluted at 1 to 5. So if you want a little bit more cleaning, just add a little bit more product. This is ready to use. So more economical, cleans really well. You can use this on a lot of surfaces on the vehicle. Clean tires, wheels, wheel wells, door jambs, plastics. I wouldn't necessarily say carpets, because it is pretty like heavy on the residue because it is soap based. But it can be used inside and out for multitude. So really underrated product. I wouldn't say that I'm shifting away from it. When I have a really dirty vehicle and I got to use a lot of product, I'll use this. But when I've got kind of a funk and I'm wanting to kind of go after some of the germs, Typhon or this product. So again, there's so many, and I mean, we could even talk about Koshemi Green Star, we could talk about Polestar, multitude of uses. This isn't meant to be exhaustive. This is just me sharing with you guys some of the ones that have worked really, really well for me. As far as leather cleaners, this is where we have to be somewhat honest, because the industry has always kind of presented a two-step process to cleaning leather cleaner and a leather conditioner. Personally, I'm not a fan of leather conditioners. I will only use it on older vehicles where I'm starting to have some signs of the leather breaking down, becoming a little brittle, to kind of moisturize it and bring life into it. Even the 2-in-1 products that are cleaner and conditioner in one, not a big fan of them because they just leave behind a greasy look to the leather. But there are certain cleaners for certain leathers. When we're dealing with heavy soiling, newer vehicles, good condition, clear coat's not degraded or anything like that. We're talking heavy soiling, guys, okay? Only when it's heavy soiling, this stuff right here. But you have to be careful with this because it's a pretty strong leather cleaner. And I know if Andreas is watching this, he's going to come for me. There are certain vehicles that, like, your mild leather cleaners aren't going to touch it, folks. You want something that's going to cut through it. This will literally melt dirt, but it can also remove a clear coat. So just proceed with caution. We're not talking like be aggressive. We're not talking soak. I will spray it on my microfiber or my Auto Fiber Scrub Ninja, just like gentle wipes, because it's high octane leather cleaner. I only use this when I have heavy soiling and they're in good condition. Proceed with caution, okay? Wear gloves. I know, that's me saying wear gloves when using that product. If you want something a little bit safer that's not going to melt the clear coat off the vehicle potentially, and for, like, I would say mild to moderate to heavy, okay? Higikoro from Bonnet, one of my favorites, okay? We also have Dermacleaner from Labo Cosmetica. Now, I will say this can still remove clear coat off of a leather seat when you don't use it properly. I've seen it where the clear coat was degraded and I had color transfer onto my pad. It wasn't dirt. It was because this product was going after it. So again, you have to be careful when you've got degraded leather seats, but if they're in good condition, no issues with the clear coat, this is actually a little bit of a safer product, cleans nicely, but there are certain, I'm cleaning vehicles that are like filthy. So for me, the Superior Products leather cleaner normally, or this product, I will say I've never had color transfer with this product, but it cleans really well. So this is probably the safest where I've had no color transfer and it can clean really well. But if we've got mild to moderate, typically you should be able to use any of these plastic cleaners because for the most part, modern day leather is vinyl. It's artificial. It's got a clear coat over top of it. We don't necessarily always need dedicated leather cleaners when we're just dealing with maintenance. Sometimes you can wipe them down with a rinseless wash. Sometimes you can use soap and water. We don't always need to buy a specific cleaner for those surfaces, but when we got heavy dirt, that's where I would say get a dedicated leather cleaner. If you want to dress, go for it. You can use the 2-in-1s. I would say for plastics or interiors, no wipes. Just avoid wipes altogether. They don't really work. They're not economical. They gas off onto the glass. Not a fan of them. So just avoid them altogether. Even if you want to do a quick wipe down of your vehicle, you're better off just getting a little microfiber dust bunny and wiping it down versus using wipes. So, all right, let's answer some more questions. Do you have recommendations for a no scrub wheel and tire cleaner? Watering my plants. We're doing interiors this video. We'll get to that. Put that in the comment section outside. We'll do another live on exteriors. We're going to do another live on ceramic coatings. We're going to do another live on paint correction. I'm going to try to do more of these lives to answer you guys' questions. We're 53 minutes with 70 people watching. This is fantastic. I love you guys. What are you eating for lunch today? I haven't eaten lunch yet. I'm getting a little hungry. But we're going to keep going through this. Favorite for rinseless wash. You guys are going in exterior? Keep it interior. Because I could literally be on here for 5 hours, and I want to try to keep this about an hour. Chelsea, what's your favorite cleaner to get suntan lotion stains off of door panels? Shine Your Light Detailing. Shine Your Light. Favorite for sunscreen. This product right here. I told you, it's high octane. It'll get sunscreen off really well. The other issue is you want to make sure you're using the right tools for interiors. I know some people aren't a fan of these. We're going to straighten it out because my OCD, I can't handle that. Scrub Ninjas, PNS scrub pads, Suds Lab scrub pads. They're going to work really well for your textured surfaces on the interior. I've had these same ones for years. I don't care if they look discolored. They still clean really well. This one from PNS, a little bit bigger. I actually like this size, maybe not as rigid. But for plastic surfaces, you need something that's going to agitate a little bit, but not be aggressive. I know some people, I have used them in the past, magic erasers. The only place that I will use a magic eraser on is the door panels that are kind of that older, we're talking like 90s model vehicles that we don't have the clear coat on. If we're talking GM trucks, don't do a magic eraser on any of those panels because they actually do have a clear coat on them. You'll braid it off. But maybe the Below the speakers, if we have scuff marks, or the plastic where we step into a vehicle and we have scuff marks, you can lightly use a magic eraser on that. I used to use magic erasers on leather. No, this is suitable, so much safer. Magic erasers are the equivalent of 5,000 grit sandpaper. So if you use that on leather, you're going to remove some clear coat. Now, if you've got heavy, heavy soiling, there might be a situation where you might need it very, very lightly. Use with caution, use common sense. But magic erasers are actually really great for glass. If you've got a heavy film, you can use a wet magic eraser. You can spray water on there, rinseless wash, go to town, scrub it, wipe off with a microfiber, and then come in with either distilled water, another rinseless wash, or your favorite glass cleaner, and clean it up. When it comes to interior glass, okay, sometimes it comes down to product, sometimes it comes down to your towels. One tip that was given to me by a tint guy, tint people are actually the best glass cleaners I have found because they have somehow figured out a way to get perfect glass before they lock it in. You want to make sure you're using clean towels. One tint guy actually said he bought a pack of these off of Amazon. You can see they're new because we still have tags on them. We rip the tag off before we use them. But this kind of just always tells me this is a brand new tag. It hasn't been used. But your final wipe, you just want to use a clean towel. Some other ones that I really enjoy. These are the Pearl towels from Autoality. They work pretty well at scrubbing glass, but sometimes you can actually see like little high spots on the glass if you have residue from the grid. Even with the waffle weave ones like this, sometimes they'll leave kind of like a little grid pattern. So what I always do, I will scrub first time with one of these towels, and then I will do a second final touch with either a flip towel like this, and these sometimes can be one and done because we've got the waffle weave and then kind of a dreadnought material here. So these are really great for kind of, I'll scrub with this and dry with this, or you can use a towel like this. This is actually, I think, the Mr. Twister from the House of Rags. Really enjoying these for a final touch for glass. They don't have a lot of lint. And I mean, I know some of you, your nemesis is lint. You just want to make sure sometimes a brand new towel can decrease that. Sometimes that can add to it. You just got to play around with it. And if you're getting really bad lint, throw that towel out. It goes to the depths of hell and try something else. Don't keep like trying to struggle and chase all of the lint. Just get a new towel. New towels can sometimes be your worst nightmare. So a really, really, really old towel can actually be the solution. So sometimes when I'm struggling with lint, I will go to my interior towel thing, and all of my coating towels, they get demoted to interiors. In fact, I'm gonna bring you over here. Hang out with me, okay? So these are some of my towels. Okay, I've got new ones down here ready to be used. Okay, these are some old ones, but I can use them still for like door jams, things like that. These are my coating towels. These are my rinseless wash towels. These are my glass. This is all glass right here. You can tell I've struggled. I keep buying glass towels. These are my interior towels, and some of these I've had for years. You are dirty. You fell on the ground. Don't worry. He's an interior though. But sometimes you just need a really old towel. You can even get the old Kirkland ones. See that guy back there? Really great for cleaning out glass. Final touch. You can use a rinseless wash. We're going to set you guys back down here. Okay. Hopefully you didn't get sick with that. But towels are going to be some of the best investment for interiors. You really don't need mint ones for interior detailing. You just need lint-free. That's the key. So I can have nasty ones to clean plastics as long as it's clean. Like I said, I've had some for years. You are still crooked. Hang on. All right, there we go. But really, old towels to give you that lint-free, or towels like this. Let's see, what else do I need to hit on? As far as glass cleaners, I know you guys, that's the thing. You all want to know glass cleaners. I have spent so much money on glass cleaners over the years, and I'm not going to say that I have found it. Okay, honestly, distilled water has been the best that I have found for your final wipe, because if you have streaks on glass, it's either too much residue from your cleaner or dirty towel. And sometimes it's just the products that you're using on the interior gassing off, and they're going to haze up eventually. So if you're noticing your glass is constantly getting dirty, examine what you're using on the interior. Do you have a lot of scent things? Do you have a lot of solvent-based dressings on the interior? Are you using like solvent-heavy chemicals where when the cabin gets closed up, it's gassing off onto your glass? Some ones that I have enjoyed. Honestly, I was impressed with this. This is P&S, their Reflect. Actually had really good results with this. I have tried so many over the years that I was optimistic, hopeful that it was going to be the solution, and it just was kind of like womp womp. But I will say, distilled water, you can even add a drop of rinseless wash. I don't care what rinseless wash. Hydra is one of my favorites. It's affordable, works really well. Literally a drop of rinseless wash, but really distilled vinegar or distilled water, because it's really about residue. But favorite cleaners recently, it's pricey, but this one right here, Duraslick, their glass clean and repel, glass prep and panel wipe. It's not cheap. This is liquid gold. What I will do, you can use any glass cleaner you want for kind of an initial scrubbing. Okay, you can use a rinse wash, magic eraser, I don't care. Do your initial scrub, go over it, get it dry. You might not have it perfect, but then I'll take this, one spray onto the panel, a clean towel, go over it, done. Normally, even in direct sunlight, out in the heat, I don't have any issues. But if you're looking for the cheapest and it's going to get a really good job done, distilled water. But if you've got a lot of dirt and stuff first, distilled water is not going to scrub really well. This can be kind of like a final touch. So you can really use any glass cleaner or rinseless wash to kind of scrub the glass, get the dirt, sticky stuff off. Then just use this with a clean towel. Try it out. Let me know your thoughts. Okay. Again, if I'm not getting to any of your questions in this live, put them in the comment section outside of the live chat. I will try to answer them when I have a moment. Let's see. What's your opinion on Pink Perfection? I think I answered that. Joseph Bree, Pink Perfection Heavy Duty Enzyme Cleaner and Zap It. If you missed that, it was at the beginning of this video. So just once we stop airing live, go back, rewatch it. I still use Superior products. I know you guys ask me that a lot. I use their leather cleaner. I use their Zap It, their heavy duty. I use their Pink Perfection. I am shifting away from Dark Fury. I know, hold the gasps. It is the most affordable, but it also is pretty caustic. I've had more situations where it's done, I don't want to say damage, but it's done something to the paint that I actually had to do an extra step to remove it by like polishing it. Not the safest on the exterior for road film. Works great on wheel wells, works great on door jams, but so do so many other APCs that are a little bit safer on the paint. I know a lot of you guys like to do it for tires and wheels, use that and then an acid. Again, really great, but there are other products out there that you can get similar results, might pay a little bit more, but safer on the surface. And also, you get that stuff on your skin and you don't wear gloves, you're gonna feel it. It burns. So shifting away a little bit from Dark Fury, using up, I've had the same bottle for a year. I think I have this much left, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna cry when I finally empty it. But Yum Citrus is actually one of my favorite citrus foaming pre-soaks. So I'm gonna sample that on exteriors to see if that can be a suitable replacement. A little bit more expensive, but safer, and just really great results. You got to start at some point. I'm 41. I got to start like thinking about my health and also just like what's safest. Sometimes the fastest isn't always the safest. My favorite interior cleaner, James Auto Detailing. I don't know if I touched on this already. Typhon BioBomb Mini, becoming my favorite for interiors. Not only cleans great, smells great, neutralizes odors. My customers absolutely love the smell. So that's probably one, and it's one of the most affordable. I use this like 1 to 10. So if you haven't tried it out yet, I would highly recommend you guys pick up a gallon of it. You're not going to regret it. Cleans really, really well. Have you ever purchased products from Temu for interior detailing? No, Keith Guts. They actually wanted to do a sponsored like video together and were going to give me $200. Was it $2,000 worth of Temu credit to do a video? And I was like, that's like 5,000 things on Temu, and I don't have that much space. So I declined it. Personally, Temu, Amazon, they're all very, very similar. Temu, Alibaba, pretty much identical. You get what you pay for sometimes, not all the time. But when it comes to microfibers, I choose to support friends versus China. And I have a lot of friends in this industry, so I would much rather support them than China. So that's just my personal opinion. Not saying you can't get decent stuff, but for me, I love supporting small businesses. I love supporting friends, and I also love supporting people who support me. So China ain't never done anything good for me, right? I'm just kidding. I'm not a nationalist by any means. This just took a turn, and I didn't want to go there. Okay, let's see. Where else are we going? Chelsea, wear gloves. Guardian Auto Detail. I don't know if you guys can see over here. If you see on top of that, right there, that's all gloves. Ivan LaCroix sent me an entire box of gloves, so I have no excuse now. I've been wearing them. Some of the videos that you guys have been watching are from pre-gloves, Chelsea, or pre that gift. So if you see me in any videos not wearing gloves, be kind. That was ignorant, Chelsea. I'm starting to wear them more. I am starting to understand the benefits of safety. Bear with me, guys. But summertime, I may or may not, because honestly, the sweating is ridiculous. It's awful. Okay, let's see. We're gonna keep scrolling. I need to get you out of here. Okay. Best products and process to clean a leather steering wheel. Again, you can use any APC. Depends on the condition of the leather steering wheel. You can use a leather cleaner. You can use an APC. Want a little bit of foam, Polestar, Green Star, Typhon, Express. Honestly, you can use a Scrub Ninja. You can use a microfiber. Just do a little bit of this action. Okay, just twist all around it. Clean it. I use a detailing brush to carefully clean the electronics. Never spray moisture directly into the electronics. Spray it on your brush. Agitate, blow out. You'll love it. How do you rinse without extractor? Catmondo, it's going to be hard. You can use something like a Rip Clean extractor. They work pretty well. It's not an extractor, but it is an extractor. Works with your vacuum. You want to make sure you have a minimum of 5 horsepower. I don't have one anymore. I gave it away. I donated it to the Rise from the Ashes charity because I wasn't using it. It didn't need to sit here, but it can work really well for beginners. But without an extractor, you can also use a vacuum. When I first started out, used a wet dry vac, pull out the filter, and you guys are gonna like have a heart attack. I would use my hose and I would rinse with water and I would suck up with the wet dry vac. It was not the best. I learned it from Forensic Detailing Channel as like a quick fix, and it worked. But yeah, it put down a lot of liquid, and it took forever to dry. And that's when I was like, I can't do this every detail. Where there's a will, there's a way. I've said it before. You can get it done, but you're putting down a lot of moisture. So extractors, I think, are the safest way to put down a controlled amount of liquid, suck it up simultaneously, because the issue is not so much, yes, you're putting down a lot of moisture, but when you're spraying and then coming in and sucking, you're giving it time to soak in. And that's where, when we're using extractor, I'm not giving it as much time to soak in. But also, I know I've said it in videos before, and I'm kind of a little bit all over, but when we're pre-treating with our chemical, I have said to go heavy. That doesn't mean that we're literally like wringing it out, soaking it, but we're not like 4 little mists. You want to see that moisture on the surface consistently. So when I'm spraying, I'm doing, a good bit. I'm spraying it heavily, but I'm not soaking it to the point where it's like going to just be sitting and going into the padding. So there is a bit of a distinguish, but you really want to make sure that you're pulling as much of that out, whether that's a wet vac, whether that's the Rip Clean extractor, whether that's bonnet cleaning, whether that's extracting. You can use a microfiber just to kind of spot clean, but if you're extracting or putting down a ton of liquid, get that out, because that's where we're going to have moisture issues. So I know I've talked a little bit about removing dry soiling, how to go about doing that, from using stiff brushes, the compressor, drill brushes. biggest issue, get all that dry soiling out before we introduce moisture. We've gone over some of my favorite chemicals, the extractor, some of the plastics, glass, microfibers, things like that. Last thing on an interior is get it dry. You want to make sure that you're not returning the vehicle with any moisture, as much moisture removed. In wintertime, that's hard because it's going to take forever to dry out. So you want to make sure the customer has gas in the tank if it's super cold outside, that you can pull it outside, turn the heat on high. That's going to really help. Also, give me a second. I didn't pull this out. This is a dry pod blower. I can actually stack multiples of these on top of one of them, but I have two of these, so I put one in the front seat, one in the back seat, turn them on. It blows the air right here and straight down, so that way I can get the seat normally within 20 to 30 minutes. I can get one seat dry, and that's even if I've done heavy extraction, heavy cleaning. So the biggest issue with interiors is, I know with people with moisture, is you don't want to like have mold or mildew. This is how we avoid that. And then also when we're dealing with tannin stains, teas, coffees, soda, things like that, when we have moisture and we release it even slightly damp to the customer and things fully dry, if we have wicking, which is basically any dirt that's deep in the carpet or the material, that as it dries, water is going to kind of lift the dirt back up to the surface. That's where sometimes we get there's a difference between resoiling and wicking, but oftentimes it's wicking. Resoiling is just where you didn't get enough of the dirt out. Wicking is where you've got deeper dirt that kind of rises to the surface. That's where we can treat with a product like this. Pick it up on Amazon, $20. Going to be a butt saver for you guys. But basically spray this onto a microfiber, go over it if you have any wicking, but you're not going to know that you have wicking until you get it dry. So this is where, if you are going to extract when you have heavy soiling, get it dry as quickly as possible. Don't release it until it's dry because you might have wicking. And then if you do have wicking, treat with something like this, and then you should be good. That gets the surface dirt. That's why I said don't spray it onto the wicking, because it's going to kind of reactivate it, and then you're just going to be fighting more moisture. Put it on a microfiber, and then just kind of rub it over the surface, so that way you don't have a ton of that cleaner reactivating the old stain, and it should help prevent any sort of browning or resoiling for you guys. So definitely pick up a bottle of this, guys, if you're going to be extracting. One thing you're probably asking, Chelsea, you didn't touch on steamers. I don't steam a lot. I have a steamer. I just don't steam a lot because I don't really need steam a lot. And some of you might disagree with me. If I am going to steam, I was sent, give me a sec. This thing's in the way. I wasn't planning on doing this. I was sent this. I didn't buy it. In my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have been able to afford it, but this is the Aqua Pro steamer. I used to have a McCulloch 1375, and it actually was a pretty decent steamer. But if you have a steamer, you know that sometimes you get the whole like, I always envisioned it like the piss from hell when you turn on the trigger, because it just shoots out like steaming hot piss out of the steamer. Sorry for my language. I don't have that issue with this. If I do very, very, very minimally, but not where I have to like discharge and have like of water shooting out high volumes. You can control the amount of steam with this. Heats up pretty quickly. This actually has continuous flow. For those of you, and I know some of you are saying once you get a Chief, you'll never get another. You can totally have the Vapor Steve, the Chief, whatever, all those expensive ones out there. I think this is like a half of the cost. For me, home-based detailing, I don't need a huge amount of volume. The only times that I've really ever needed steam was when we had a ton of really greasy substances that I needed to break it down. But typically when we got heavy soiling, steam, sometimes the issue is that it can actually scorch the fibers. It can set stains, and you have like an irregular, you can actually see where the steam is kind of like broken down some of the dirt in like an ejector pattern, and it doesn't evenly break it down. Now, yes, you have the triangular head and different things like that that you can put on it. But I know a lot of you guys like to steam clean alone. The only time I will ever steam clean alone is a brand new vehicle where I just want to kind of freshen, maybe Alcantara where I just want to kind of go over the surface. Bonnet clean such, but steam cleaning can leave carpet fibers crunchy. And when we think about the technique of it, it's actually injection cleaning. We're basically taking the steam and we're pushing it through. And so sometimes if we're just steam cleaning a carpet or a seat or anything like that, you're pushing the dirt further in versus pulling it out. So I would say pre-treat with this. If you need to break down the heavy soiling, pre-treat, but don't let that be the only way that you're cleaning. You want to somehow pull it out with either bonnet cleaning or extraction. So this is a great way to break down heavy soiling. I would never use this on leather because it can, I mean, leather doesn't like water. It doesn't like moisture. It can actually kind of curl and warp the leather if you do it. And I've seen even on certain circumstances where I will use steam to clean plastics and things like that. And for some reason, I get splatter on the plastic that almost is permanent and it burns the plastic. I can get just as good clean results by just using a cleaner, a microfiber brush, and blowing it out versus using steam. One, around electronics, don't do it because you're going to get a lot of moisture back behind them. I know we always will show these videos online where people are using steam on the front dash and cleaning out the vents and things like that. Looks cool. It's not really doing a whole lot. And you could actually be putting moisture into the vents, which is mold, mildew, things like that. We want to avoid that. Yes, sometimes if you just want to break down the dirt that's right on the surface, but you're not really sanitizing their ducts or their vent system or anything like that with steam. You're just pushing a little bit of moisture through it, looking really cool on video, but it's not really doing anything and actually can create mold and mildew. So steam, I think, has its place. I wouldn't say it'd be the only thing that you use to clean carpets, plastics, things like that. Stubborn dirt, heavy dirt can be a great tool to break it down, to pre-treat before you come in, but use with caution. If you don't know what you're doing, you can do a lot of harm with steam. You can pull oil out of plastic and stain it, dull it. You can stain plastics, you can damage electronics, you can burn leather, you can burn yourself, you can set stains. So there's a lot with this that I can do, but a lot that can actually go wrong. So in the wrong hands of people, you can do damage. So just proceed with caution, watch some videos, start off with a small amount of steam if you're going to use it versus coming in guns blazing. But it does have its place. But it's not something that I would say, go out and buy if you're going to become an interior detailer. I have found that chemical and agitation can work just as well. Hot water can work just as well. When we think about what cleans, temperature, agitation, the pH, and then you. So it's not always this, but this is a good one if you want to invest in a steamer. All right. Hopefully I didn't annoy too many people or offend too many people. This is what works for me. I'm not the Bible. I'm not the authority on interior detailing. I'm just sharing 9 years of experience with you guys, what I've learned and mistakes and errors along the way. What's a good air compressor? I have the California Air Tools Ultra Quiet 10-gallon compressor, about $400, $500. I ordered mine off of Home Depot, so that way, if anything broke, I could take it back in store. But fantastic, super quiet. I'm not annoying my customers. I use it. I do turn the PSI up a little bit to about 100, 120. I use the mini Tornador tool with it and a DeWalt compressor line hose. I have continuous air. I don't have any lag time. I don't have any downtime. Works fantastic. Doesn't get overheated. Has two, I'm not mechanical. It has two, I think, vents on the top to kind of help keep it cool. And actually has two hose lines that I can connect to it. Has worked perfectly for me. I don't need anything bigger than the 10-gallon. All right, let's see. Let's keep going. I didn't mean to hide that. You deleted message. I didn't mean to delete that. I'm just clicking things. I'm trying to go through. All right, I think we're all caught up with a majority of the questions. Hopefully, I've been able. Steve Pearson, hope you're doing well. Chelsea, did we cover salt staining in carpets yet? If not, what's the protocol? Steve, I did go over that a little bit, but real quick, just to kind of recap, vinegar, hot water, you can use steam if it's super stiff and crunchy. But hot water typically dissolves salt, but sometimes the salt stains remain. Can actually use something like Eagle Guard from Chemex, a salt neutralizer on the interior, Make sure you extract though, fully remove it. But if you're looking for something retail-wise, spray away, salt off. This works pretty well. The other thing is you want to have a really good stiff brush. So you can just use a grout brush like this. There's just a pad cleaning brush, $3 off of Amazon. You would be surprised what I can do with this $3 brush. This actually is one of the best investments I've ever made for deep cleaning. Agitation is the probably most overlooked step when it comes to carpet cleaning or shampooing. A white drill brush is normally like the safest route. Anything more than that, the yellow ones, they can burn material. I've had that happen on the back of a Jeep seat. So white does, it's not as stiff, so you're not gonna have as much heat, you're not gonna have as much risk of burning the material. But this manual, man, this can really go to town, break stuff down. If you have sensitive materials, suede, alcantara, you don't want something stiff because you're gonna scorch it. This is a mother's brush. I buy a 2-pack of these probably twice a year. And these are great. They're little disposable brushes, and you can, the tip is actually worn off, but you can actually use the tip sometimes. It's a little rubber, it's a little sad right now. I've broken it. You can actually use this to kind of get into some really tight little things sometimes. But these 2 brushes right here, fantastic for agitating. But carpets, the thicker impossible carpets, right here, your best friend. Pull out pine needles, straw, sand, pet hair, human hair, anything like that. I didn't really touch on pet hair. That can be the nemesis for many people. And some of you might be saying, what's the best tool for pet hair removal? The best tool for pet hair removal is your elbow. Patience and you. I wouldn't say that there's one that is the best. I've had really great results. This is an aniline brush. I've had this so long that the rubber edges are actually starting to wear down. Probably time to replace it, but really easy to hold. That's a lie. I just dropped it. But really, it has 3 different sides to it, so that way you can go after thin, medium, long pet hair. Really love it. Then these standard pet hair brushes, really fantastic. They're not going to scratch plastic surfaces if you're going over it, backs of seats, things like that. You can also use a Fur Eel Pro, or you can use the hammerhead brush attachment. Love these for the back of seats, flat surfaces, but obviously it's stiff, wide, and rigid. So that's where this is really great. This actually is something that you can attach to your mini Tornador, or you can just kind of take this off, blow it. But you can put this on your vacuum, and agitate, pull the pet hair up simultaneously. When we have impossible carpets, when we have just really stubborn stuff, use with caution. This used to be a lot bigger. They do break down over time, and they can damage plastics, so be careful and use sparingly. You're shaving carpet off when you're using this. I would use like some of these tools, get what I can, and then if we have anything remaining, then use this, go over things. I did pick this up. I haven't tried it yet, but we're going to be testing it. I know that there's been some advancements with pet hair brushes. I've seen some of the handheld things that you can put out there. But I haven't tested them, but we will be testing out more tools. If there's ever any manufacturers out there that want me to test out any products for any of you guys, DM me, give me a comment. I love testing out new products, but I don't have infinite resources. But as far as pet hair brushes, sometimes this does a better job than even this, because this goes deep within the carpet. So sometimes I'm using literally all of them. We're just like cleaning pet hair in layers. But elbow grease, the Tornador definitely can help, but it's going to be limited. So that's why I'm saying get yourself a stiff grout brush like this, and it can definitely help out. So non-acid cleaner versus Pink Perfection, your input. I don't like the smell of the non-acid cleaner. It just smells like butt to me. I'd much rather smell Pink Perfection. It works okay. I had a gallon. I got rid of it because there's so many other APCs or interior cleaners out there that work just as well. It is affordable, but I didn't like the smell of it. Sometimes I'm scent driven, especially on interiors. I want the customer to know it's been cleaned, and I want it to smell fresh and clean. So one thing my customers appreciate the most. Do you use LA Awesome? No. look at the SDS, the pH level on that. It is, it's stronger than Dark Fury. That's saying something. It can do a lot of damage. Yeah, it is cheap. You can go to the dollar store, but again, you get what you pay for. LA's Awesome actually has like some sort of acid within it that if you don't get that residue off and you get it on your skin, it can burn. In the past, I know it was a big viral cleaner. I would be concerned about that residue getting on any toddler skin, on any little kid's skin. If they have a swimsuit and they sit on a seat that was cleaned with LA's Awesome, it can burn. So why? When there's safer products out there that can work just as well. So for me, LA's Awesome, big old no. It has sodium. I think Steve will correct me on this one. I wrote it down. What's the term? I had notes, guys. I didn't follow any of them. I came prepared, but this is the where's page 1? Sodium hydrochloride, I believe, is the term, and that's what's in it. That's what leaves kind of the salt stains, the white chalky residue. But anyways, I don't use LA's Awesome, and I would not recommend that you guys use it too. Sometimes cheap is not always the safest. I'll say it again. What do you use on touchscreen infotainment systems? Honestly, avoid spraying any cleaner directly on them. Microfiber, you can use a glass cleaner. You can use invisible glass. You can use distilled water. Sometimes I'll go over if we got a lot of sticky residue very quickly with a kind of an APC or an interior cleaner, but sometimes they can leave residue. You don't want to burn it. So normally either just a damp towel, rinse, wash, glass cleaner, something like that. Just gently go over it. You don't want to necessarily have a dry towel because you don't want to like go to town and scratch it. They can be a little sensitive, but avoid moisture. You don't want that getting underneath of them. Very expensive to repair. Ask me how I know. I had to buy someone a radio one time because got a little moisture behind a screen and completely destroyed the radio. Thankfully, I was able to buy a refurbished unit, but learn that lesson the hard way. Never spray cleaner directly into an infotainment center. All right. What are some of the mistakes you guys have made when detailing and things that you've learned? That's one of them. All right. Hi, would you advise reversing the shop vac hose if you don't have a compressor to clean interior? Yes, you can. But again, you're going to struggle with pulling out all the moisture properly. I've done it though. I've done it before. You're not going to get quite as much suction reversing it. I would say the other issue is that you might be blowing things like dirt. So you have to make sure your shop vac is fully clean. It's a way. Now I'm following you. I was thinking one thing, but now another. Yes, you can blow dirt out with that. You just want to make sure it's clean. It's not going to give you as much concentrated airflow as a compressor or even a Tornador or a variable speed dryer, which I used to use. It'll get something. A leaf blower would probably be better though. If you have that, if you don't have that though, that'll work. You can put one of those little nozzles, but it's just going to fly off. So yes, that can work. Great idea. What about headliners? Do you clean them on each interior detail? No. Most of the time they don't need it. Normally they just need a good vacuuming. If they do need a spot cleaning, I'll spray cleaner onto a microfiber, then onto the headliner. The only time I'll spray cleaner on the headliner is when I'm bonnet cleaning the entire thing. If we have smoke, if we have a lot of dirt, then I will do the entire thing because again, if I spray cleaner onto it and it's dirt, it's going to push that dirt and make a ripple. So the only way to really clean it properly and consistently is to do the whole thing. So I will spray a solution, spray it onto this right here. I normally use a GG6 small throw polisher at 15 millimeter at speed 2 or 3. Just go over everything, then take a microfiber, mop it up. Normally you should be good to go. Yes, Ivan, make sure you like and hype the video. Thank you guys so much. We are at 88 minutes. Holy cow, no wonder my voice is going hoarse. All right, sodium hydroxide, that's probably what I was looking for. Thank you, Steve. I knew you would come in. I knew you would know the answer. What's a good shop vac? From James Carroll. I started with the rigid. Actually, I still have it. This guy right there. I know Wilson Auto Detailing, he used that one. I needed something that didn't take up a lot of space. Works fantastic, but it is a little loud. Now I use a DeWalt Stealth Sonic. I believe this is their 9-gallon one. 5 horsepower is the minimum I recommend. There's a lot of really great ones out there. Really, you just need 5 horsepower minimum. whatever capacity you need, whether you're going to be using that to wet dry vac, if you're going to be mobile, obviously size, power, things like that. I know there's some really great new ones coming on the market. Everyone's talking about Big Boy, everyone's talking about Giraffe tools, but I've had really good results with the DeWalt and the Rigid, very affordable. I did upgrade to the Rigid detailing hose. It does fit the DeWalt Stealth Sonic, but it's smaller. Companies are coming out with their smaller ones, but you're going to get better suction and better mobility with a smaller hose. Bigger hose, obviously, you're going to lose some of that suction. They're shorter, more rigid. So I prefer the kind of auto detailing specific hoses for those. How best to clean nicotine tar out of upholstery. When we think about tar on the exterior, we need a solvent to basically break that down. So sometimes when you're dealing with tar on, like we're talking like chunky tar, you can actually use a tar remover on carpets. Just flush it out really good. One of my favorites for that is Ulex from Koshemi. Smells really strong, like really strong. Just make sure you open air ventilation. But that can actually be used on carpets as well as the exterior for tar. I know one of you guys had asked about best way to dress WeatherTech mats. I mean, we all love it. It smells really strong, but Gummy Fix. I am not going to try to make my own. I'm going to buy straight from the manufacturer because I'm not a chemist. But this is one of the best that I have found. I will say it does make it ever so slightly slick, but it is the least amount of slickness that I have found from any WeatherTech dressing. There are some details that I could spend 10 hours perfecting the paint, cleaning the interior. We're talking destroyed interiors, exteriors. This product is the thing that the customer is most impressed with when I can dress their WeatherTech liners. It makes everything for them. So just do yourself a favor, buy some. I normally dispose of the applicators afterwards. I don't even try to wash them because it's super strong. Wear gloves. But yeah, this works really great at dressing WeatherTech liners. You can clean them all you want. Sometimes they get stained from mud, from clay, things like that. So but clean first. Don't be lazy and just put this on a dirty mat. I will say I'm not a big fan of WeatherTech liners. If I'm going to make any recommendations to customers who are watching, get more of the husky rubber tire-like material ones. Way easier to clean. You can use a tire cleaner. You can use McKee's 37, their floor mat and cargo liner rejuvenator. You can use Adams rubber and tire cleaner. Work really great. And then you don't really have to deal with dressings per se. But if you do have WeatherTech, just buy this. You're going to appreciate me. Let's see what to use to dress rubber floor mats. I think I just answered that. Archiner is 97. I don't know how to say that. Is there anything we can do for scratched up plastic door panels? Scratches to the point you can feel them. For press media, that's a little bit of I've seen some people actually kind of lightly sand them down just to kind of blend it, but you might make a bigger scratch doing that. And honestly, I've seen some people use heat guns, and again, can temporarily make it look better. You're like remelting the plastic, but what you're doing is you're pulling the oil to the surface, and it's going to actually be faded over time. You're going to accelerate kind of oxidation of the plastic. So sometimes there's not much that you can do. If it's that big of a deal, replace that piece. But personally, I've not seen any like quality long-term replacement or fix for that. I have one area of my plastic that, like my wedding ring, I scratched it. It's been there since we had the vehicle, like 1 year old. Still there. Now I don't notice it anymore, but really big ones, sometimes you might have to replace the piece. But like I said, I've seen some people where they'll lightly sand it to kind of get the rough, we're talking like the Stranger Things looking things that can come off the plastic if it's really bad. And then maybe heat it a little bit. But I've never done it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it because you could cause bigger issues. If you don't know what you're doing, you can melt the plastic. So take it for what it's worth. I've never seen it done successfully. If you have a fix, put that in the comment section down below. But sometimes I would say you're SOL. So sorry if that disappoints you. My black dashboard is always dusty. Is there a product I can apply that will repel dust? KC557, don't do a dressing. That's one thing. Dressings can actually just hold the glue. I would say clean it. You can use anti-static waxes. I mean, there are some, I mean, some of it is marketing. There are some manufacturers that will say they have anti-static properties within their products. I've never really found any products that repel dust. I think for the most part, I actually just keep a microfiber on my interior. The biggest thing to avoid resoiling is no dressings. Cut down on that. Just use cleaners, maybe with UV protectant within it, but no dressings. Definitely no solvents. But I wouldn't know. Definitely don't use a bead maker. That holds on to dust bad. But sorry, sidebar. But yeah, as far as repelling dust, personally, I haven't found anything that repels dust. Even if manufacturers have said it, I've experimented with so many over the years. I think the biggest thing is just keeping it clean, no dressings, no solvents, and use a microfiber or something like that to dust it when it gets really bad. But if it's holding on to a lot of dirt, what are you putting on it? That's holding on to it. What's a good cleaner for bugs? James, we'll get to that when we do exteriors. I don't think we have too many thoughts on Labo 2 pH carpet system. Ductile and Glico, decent products. I would say they've handled moderate soiling for me, mild to moderate. So if you're looking for something available on a retail level, it can handle a decent amount of soiling. I've not used it on a light colored interior. I've only used it on a dark colored interior. So can't really say if it got 100% because black, you can kind of do one pass and you're good. One thing that Reggie did say is that I believe it's with their Ductile, it leaves the carpets really fluffy, like really fluffy. So for those of you that just like a good old natural cleaner, 2 pH system, it will do the job. But personally, when we're dealing with heavy soiling or light colored interiors, that's where I would say pro grade products are going to be better suited. I have used Glico and Ductile before where it struggled, and I ended up having to pull these out, and they got the job done. So again, take it for what it's worth. They're not bad. They do work, but I've not seen like flawless results on heavy soiling. But the average vehicle, it should work really well. You don't have to go heavy concentrations. Pretty affordable, but I think these are actually a little bit more affordable when we're considering dilution ratios. Help me choose, please. KCX MZR or ADS Clean. I've not used MZR, so I can't help you there. And I haven't tested ADS Clean either. So comment section, give some feedback. I have not used every product on the market. Contrary to popular belief, I know my shelves say differently because this is just tire and wheel cleaners, soaps, sealants, tire dressings. We've got new products to test back there. I know I'm drowning, guys. It's going to be hopefully a good spring with content for you guys. Greetings from Romania. Detailing is part of our lives. We follow you with pleasure and respect you for the work you do. We have learned a lot from your channel. Respect. Thank you, BBS. I don't know what hello in Romania is, but thanks for watching. What time is it where you're at? Triple G in the house. Sorry I'm late. Busy day. What if James has bugs in the interior? Then you need a zapper tool. That's what you need. You live in Louisiana. I don't know. I mean, if you have bugs on the interior, I would say an APC. You don't want to use a bug remover on the interior because normally they're really high alkaline, probably going to have the sodium hydroxide in it. So kill them and pray to God they don't kill you. 68 people and like and share the love. I can't believe we still have this many people watching. You guys are fantastic. Either that or you're just really curious to know what I do. Process for no extraction carpet cleaning chemicals from Vice Detail. I went over that a little bit at the beginning. I will say this, Folex can work for spot cleaning, light cleaning, Home Depot, very affordable. You can also use end cap solutions like this from Bonnet Pro, 1 to 5 dilution. Bonnet cleaning is a great option where we don't want to extract. But typically, if we've got heavy soiling, you're going to want to extract. If we're just doing spot cleaning, end cap solution, bonnet cleaning can work. Or you can even use products like this. I would say dry foam would be the best case scenario for spot cleaning or where we need limited moisture, because we're keeping a majority of that cleaner in a foam solution versus it soaking into the material, potentially creating kind of a clean ripple. You can also use Polestar in a foamer, that works pretty well. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question in a nutshell. Okay, I think for the most part, I've gotten through all of the questions, which is crazy, but we've been at this for quite some time. But anyways, this was not meant to be exhaustive. What is best for protection? One, Flint Star coming in right at the clutch where I think I am done. So are we talking protection for carpets? Are we talking protection for leather? Are we talking protection for dressing? Let's answer all of those real quick. Let's see, for leather and for carpets, the cap on this broke, so pay no mind. Again, not sponsored. This is one of my favorites right here, DIY Detail Interior Ceramic. You can charge $50 at least for an upsell. This will pay for the bottle, and you can get dozens of vehicles with it. You can apply this to a microfiber applicator. This will give you 6 months of protection on high in and out sections of the vehicle. If you're not really sitting on the back seat or you're not touching the back seats, this can last a long time, 12 months plus, if not longer. What I like about this is that it a little bit more flexible, more natural appearance, and it wears more naturally. Leather coatings, I've actually shifted away from here at my shop because I've seen long term, after about a year or two, as like friction and people going in and out, maybe whatever cleaners they're using, they're probably not cleaning, but it breaks down the outsides of the leather coating where it was kind of thinner on the applicator, and then I can actually see applicator marks. I had one customer, she came back like a year or two later, and I had applied a leather coating to brown leather seats, and I was starting to see like little thin lines that looked like an applicator mark, just on her primary driver's seat, and that was the leather coating starting to break down. I wouldn't recommend, you probably could, but I can't polish off a leather coating like I can polish a coating off of paint. Whereas this is going to wear off more naturally. You can reapply it every 6 months, 12 months, however needed. But it's going to give you the same benefits of a leather coating. Does give you hydrophobic protection, does give you some sunscreen and blue gene transfer protection. And I really don't think that any leather coating is going to make your leather bulletproof. You still might get gene transfer on white leather seats, but it's going to help reduce it. It cuts it down. Similar like ceramic coatings, they are not impermeable to, tons of abrasion and harsh chemicals and things like that. You can actually use this on material as well. I rarely will do a fabric protectant on carpets because my issue is resoiling. I want to try to avoid resoiling. And sometimes those interior ceramics, they're sitting on the surface, they could hold on to dirt. So I typically don't offer fabric coatings, leather coatings. This is what I will offer. You can use this on armrests, on plastics, things like that. But typically, if I am going to use a dressing on interiors, I'm using something that is natural, that's going to be like dry to the touch, that has more UV protection versus dressing. But if I do need a dressing, we're talking older plastics that are pretty faded, that I just want to bring a little bit of love, put some oil back into the plastics. You can use really any of the kind of two in ones. I really like PNS Swift. Smells like creamsicles, works well, natural, UV protection. I don't keep a lot of those in stock here at my shop though. You can use a lot of dressings, but you run the risk of gassing, you run the risk of attracting dirt. So more than anything, UV protection is what's critical on the interior. G-Technique C2 for interiors. I have used that. Not bad. Similar. Even their fabric guard, their leather. They have like a leather coating that's a spray similar to this. This is just, I think, more affordable than some of the other ones because you're going to pay about the same price for a bottle this big. And this lasts a very long time. I go through this pretty quickly. I can only go through in a bottle in a year. But like I said, I charge a customer $50 at minimum to coat their leather seats for 6 months leather coating. That pays for the bottle. So anything beyond one customer is profit. Have I ever used crystal products? No, I have not. Interior ceramic is liquid gold, Trimajestic Solutions. Again, so many great products out there, but I am not, I'm actually, one thing I'm trying to do here at my shop is, yes, it's great for me to test out products from other manufacturers. I am trying to get back to using like what I know to use versus just constantly trying new products. Many of these I've used for over a year. I know I'm going to get reliable results from. Manufacturers are constantly sending me stuff to test out. If it makes it into like kind of the routine, that's where it lands here or here. But I'm not going to say that these are the only ones that work out there. There's so many, but I'm probably not going to try every brand out there because I'm drowning. I'm literally drowning in products. Forensic detailing, approved DIY interior, just not for price. Have you ever done any polishing and waxing? James Carroll. I'm assuming you're talking exterior. Yeah, a good bit. I wax every vehicle. I do a good bit of paint correction. We will be doing live Q&As in the future on ceramic coating, on paint correction, on exterior detailing. If there's specific topics that you guys would like to discuss, let me know in the comments section, and I will try to set up a time for me to do live Q&As. Things have been a little bit slower for me with winter detailing because we've had literal Arctic temperatures the last couple of months. So I'm going to try to do more lives and answer you guys' questions. So if I didn't get to anything in the live chat here, hopefully I did. Put your questions in the comment section, and any people who are watching after the fact, put your questions in the comment section, as well as hypes, as well as thumbs up, as well as subscribes, all the things. I hate doing that. It's so corny, but you got to do it. But hopefully you guys have learned something new. I'm not going to say that, like I said it, I've said it 1,000 times. I am not the way. I am a way, but I've learned a lot, trial and error. I know it works for me, and I'm always open to you guys sharing what works for you. I'm never looking to argue or to say you're wrong or I'm right, but I know what has worked for me, and if I can help you guys get through the confusion of the mass amount of products that are on the market, that's my job. That's my goal. If there are brands that want to work with me, reach out. I want to share my opinion. I'm probably not going to be investing too much more in different brands beyond what I know works. But if other companies want to send me stuff for free, I love free stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Christian from Italy. Ciao tutti. I hope everyone has enjoyed this video, and make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going to try to get more content out to you guys in the next couple of days. I did put some links to some of my favorite products down below. If there's any products that you guys want to support the channel and use an affiliate link that's not in the video description, put your product suggestion or recommendation in the comment section, and I'll try to send you an affiliate link if I have one. You don't have to use any affiliate links. It just helps support this channel. And I appreciate you guys for all the support that you've given. I'm really looking forward to 2026. All of the cars once we finally get through this dang winter. But thanks guys for hanging out with me. We'll see you in the next detail. All right. I'm gonna try to turn this off. Peace, everyone. Stay warm, stay safe.